What's up, guys? Tim Iaria again here. Excuse me, I just got a text message. That's all right, from my brother. Here with the final piece of my series on unsung pro wrestling eras that I wanted to get that out there on YouTube. I haven't watched back all of the ones that I already did that I put up, the ones, you know, from WCW 92, WWF 94, etc. If you've seen the other ones, I'm not going to go into what I'm doing and what I'm not doing and blah, 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 because if you're watching these sequentially, let's say, or something like that, you've already heard it, you know, 7 times. But I'm pretty happy with everything turned out. It's a bunch of, if you were to listen to them, let's say, all together, you know, some of them are half hour, some of them are 40 minutes, one of them I think is like 18 minutes. But if you put them all together in one big shot, let's just say, I didn't want to record it that way or edit it that way. But if you put them all together and listen to it in one big thing, it's like 3 hours of content. And there's some pretty interesting factoids you may learn in any of those. So I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Again, I didn't fact check, I didn't write any notes down, just sort of shooting from the hip, but I've been pretty happy with it. Today I want to go over the last era that I'm pretty happy with, that I feel like everybody's talking a lot about now, but again, just to sort of reiterate and go over talent, matchups that they've been doing, they could be doing, you know, landmark things that they've done, etc. I want to give a quick shout out to some honorable mentions, or to 2 honorable mentions actually, and that's, we know what we haven't been covering, we know what we have covered. Honorable mentions that I didn't cover, and it's because I don't know a ton about, or I don't have enough, let's say, insider info to go over, and that's pretty much all of the New Japan stuff. Japanese wrestling in Japan is very, very big. Japanese wrestling in America is starting, it's been big, let's say, since probably the 80s, but it's starting to get a lot bigger now with New Japan putting on, you know, 6-star matches and a lot of big talent going over there, or talent coming from there to places like WWE or, you know, Ring of Honor, AEW, that kind of thing. So New Japan, obviously, there's a ton of really, really good matches, really good feuds. I'm a huge fan of Tiger Mask. A lot of 5-star matches with him you can watch from New Japan, and we'll say All Japan too. Any of the Japanese wrestling, not just New Japan Pro Wrestling, but basically any of the Japanese pro wrestling. Tiger Mask, if you watch Mitsuharu Misawa versus Kenta Kobashi, those are some of my favorite matches of all times. You know, a lot of really, really great stuff. Dynamite Kid, you know, over there working with Tiger Mask is, you know, very good stuff. But I don't have enough of, like I said, background of watching those all day, every day, growing up with it as a kid, to really give sort of my great insights. I only really know what I've learned off of the internet or, you know, tape trading days since I was a kid. So shout out to Japanese pro wrestling, and also the territory days. I wasn't, I didn't have, you know, I didn't grow up in the 70s or the 60s or anything like that. I didn't have, being a Jersey Shore guy, our regional territory basically was the WWF, which was, you know, sort of the monster at the time anyway. But I didn't grow up with Georgia Championship Wrestling or Florida Championship Wrestling or Championship Wrestling from Florida, or, you know, Mid-South, the World Class, you know, the West Coast stuff, the Oregon stuff. I don't know, you know, I've learned a lot about those promotions and territories from podcasts and YouTube videos and stuff like that, but I don't know, again, enough about it to make good efforts towards, you know, articulating things that are either missed or, you know, should be more talked about. So shout out to Japanese wrestling, shout out to all the territory days. I know you have, there's tons of good programs, matches, talent, and little maybe mini eras in those you know, wrestling genres, but I don't know enough about it to say it. So this is why I mainly focused on WCW, ECW, and WWF. I never really watched Ring of Honor, which is sort of also in the territory vein, but you know, maybe somebody else can make videos about those things, whatever. But Today I want to talk about WWE basically from today's day and age. WWE from, let's say, around 2018 on. WWE has been in a very big change the last couple years, as for, when they debuted the WWE Network. They're going even more global somehow. They made an NXT UK. I'm pretty sure they're going to probably end up doing an NXT Japan one of these days. Who knows? NXT Mexico, maybe. Who knows? The women's revolution. They're very much putting women at the forefront. Women headline WrestleMania. Women headline Hell in a Cell. They're having the first women's Rumble. The first women's this. First women that. Women's tag team championships. So they have been really on the cusp of a new era and a sort of a turning point for talent. And basically, they've had great wrestling the last couple of years. I did 2012 NXT. That's when they were really, they're starting to incorporate a lot of international talent here. 2017, if you were to go back, 2017 ended with AJ Styles as a world champion fighting Jinder Mahal. Let's say at a Clash of Champions was the last pay-per-view in 2017. You had guys like John Cena, Shinsuke Nakamura, Randy Orton still there. In NXT, you had the War Games going on in the end of 2017. The Roderick Strong and Authors of Pain versus Sanity versus Undisputed Era. Great matches, which was a great match. You had stuff like Kurt Angle and The Shield going against Braun Strowman, Kane, and The Bar. So still a lot of great talent, a lot of great matches, but I want to start in 2018. And I'm not going to go over every pay-per-view, and I'm not going to go over every match and every event or whatever. But again, since, let's say, 2018 started with Cien Almas as the NXT World Champion, great talent, fighting Johnny Gargano at a TakeOver Philadelphia. Andrade didn't really get a huge run as NXT champion, but he's a great talent. I believe he's a second generation wrestler. Always a solid hand to have. They haven't really done crazy work with his push yet, but I imagine he's getting there, and he's still very young and stuff like that. We saw the Women's Royal Rumble in 2018. I'm not sure if that was the first. It was the 31st. So 2018 was the first Women's Royal Rumble. All right, so that's cool. So we see that. Boom. Now women are getting a Royal Rumble, something that should have probably happened a long time ago. Again, you got talent. I want to talk about talent that's on the roster from then on. Okay, you got guys like AJ Styles, Roman Reigns, Shinsuke Nakamura, Finn Balor, we'll say Aleister Black, Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins. Now they got guys like Drew McIntyre, Kushida. In 2018, I believe they still had Hideo Itami, Kenta. All of these guys are caliber dudes that are, you could basically have 5-star matches with. They haven't put on a lot of matches that they probably could and should, or feuds that they could, develop into some kind of crazy matches. We haven't seen a lot of Finn Balor versus Shinsuke Nakamura. We haven't seen a lot of Finn Balor versus AJ Styles. AJ Styles versus Nakamura. What about a Cesaro versus a Roman Reigns? You got The Fiend, guys like The Fiend, Braun Strowman, big monster dudes. A lot of talent, like I said, on the roster. And they sort of do that whole thing that we talked about as far as repeat the same matches and pay-per-views over and over and over again. But there is enough talent here, and I get it, they can't do everything all at once, but there is a lot of talent here to put on great matches. And I'll go over some of the more, some more guys. And again, a lot of this is, there's young talent. We have talent in the women's division, talent in the men's division, talent in the smaller guys, let's say the 205 cruiserweight division, talent in the monster division is, they got a ton of big guys, they got a ton of little guys, they got a ton of really athletic, females. They got a ton, maybe they don't have a ton of great tag teams, but they have maybe the time now where they have too much talent. So maybe they could start incorporating some of these guys that aren't getting mid-level pushes or main event pushes. Let's incorporate them into tag teams and put them, like they sort of did with, Cesaro and Shinsuke. Both of those guys could be world champions. They weren't really doing much with them. Okay, put them together. Boom, you got a brand new tag team. You make them the tag team champions. Or Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. Maybe Shayna Baszler sort of new to the business. Nia Jax, they say maybe is a little dangerous. But boom, those are two women that could be the leaders of your division. They're not doing anything with them. Put them together, make them a tag team, give them the tag team championships. Tommaso Ciampa, another really great talent. He's always been in NXT. He hasn't done any main roster stuff yet. Probably when he does, though, he'll be able to have, again, feuds with guys like Nakamura or Cesaro or Finn Balor and AJ Styles. Those are those are money matches we haven't even seen yet. Brock Lesnar's been in and out of the company in 2018. They always put the belt on him, they put the belt on him. He goes away for 6 months, comes back. I don't mind Brock Lesnar as a champion. Again, I think I talked about it in another video. He's very believable. I like the whole aspect of, your champion only comes out of the cave to, once a month to, destroy somebody, and then he goes back. It's a cool gimmick, I guess, but it is annoying to not see your champion, on TV for months and months at a time. But Brock Lesnar's money, and he's very legitimate, so legitimate, tough guy, believable. Also in 2018, they did the 50-man Greatest Royal Rumble match. Again, maybe some people hate on the gimmicks. I love Royal Rumble matches. I love elimination matches. And maybe 50 guys was too much, and some people hate on the whole Saudi Arabia thing. But I like the gimmick. Braun Strowman being the biggest monster guy in there winning it, that makes sense. Samoa Joe, another great talent guy, capable of putting on 5-star matches. He may or may not be done with his ring career right now, but in 2018, we had stuff like Backlash with Roman Reigns versus Samoa Joe as a headline. That's a great match. Two Samoan big bruiser dudes gonna beat the hell out of each other. Rusev was in the company at the time. He's now Miro in AEW. I always loved him. Very athletic, big, muscular, bodybuilding type guy. Any guy that is that big that can throw a jumping savate kick, I'm all right with. Very good talent. They put the U.S. title on him a couple times. He was super over with the fans, and it seemed like when he was at his hottest is when they sort of gave up on him for some reason. He was very over with the fans, was really somebody that was really good with connecting with the audience. I don't know why they didn't strap a rocket to him more when he was in that position, but that's just what they did. We saw Kofi's sort of rise and fall, rise, since 2018 and on. Obviously headlining WrestleMania, Kofi, a longtime veteran. Great seeing another black heavyweight champion, especially for a smaller guy. Very interesting storyline, sort of watching the Kofi Mania thing happen. That's something else you can go back and watch. He sort of got put into a match, because there was an injury. Ali got injured, he gets into the match, the fans go crazy for it, so WWE ran with it, which was a nice thing for them to, that's when it's nice when WWE listens to the fans like they didn't do with Miro. A lot of, we're seeing NXT UK stuff. Pete Dunne is the champion. Pete Dunne had a really nice run with the UK title. It was like over 400 days, something like that. I like seeing lengthy title reigns and stuff. That's it's always good. It sort of solidifies the title a little more. The Extreme Rules in 2018 saw Dolph Ziggler and Seth Rollins in a 30-minute Iron Man match for the Intercontinental title. I love high stakes stuff. For Intercontinental title as a main event is awesome. Those two guys, money all day in a match together. Iron Man match is it's a fun gimmick. Undertaker we've seen sporadically in since 2018 on. He may be done with in-ring competition now. I don't know if that's what that whole last ride show on the WWE Network was about. But we saw him at the Super Showdown at least in 2018, and he's made some sporadic appearances. It's crazy that guy is still able to do that to his body. at Evolution. You know, Ronda Rousey was in the company. I loved Ronda Rousey. This is in 2018, in the end of 2018, she's beaten Nikki Bella in the Evolution main event. Ronda Rousey told, I really wish more MMA people came over and did pro wrestling either after their careers or during their careers. Again, Brock Lesnar, Ronda Rousey, Cain Velasquez, Matt Riddle, you know, guys that come from legit shoot fighting backgrounds, you know that they're a bad dude. You know, Ken Shamrock, obviously. So, you know, if you can come in with that already behind you, you don't even need a character development or, you know, a vignette to tell the audience what's gonna, you know, what you're about or whatever. You immediately come in with a legitimate pedigree and background. I wish more people did that. Rampage Jackson did it a little bit with TNA, Tito Ortiz. I would love to see guys like Fedor, Conor McGregor, even like a Frankie Edgar maybe. You know, these type of dudes come in and do some pro wrestling. You know, that's maybe a little less stressful on their body, and you know, maybe the paydays are similar or better. Ricochet, again, another dude that is very capable of having high quality. You know, Ricochet versus Finn Balor, Ricochet versus AJ Styles. You know, those are matches that I would love to see in the WWE ring that I don't think we've had too much of. The War Raiders or the Viking Raiders or whatever they're called now, Hanson and Rowe, awesome tag team. They're I think one of them just had surgery maybe, so they haven't been on TV too much. But great tag team. I love Hanson. I don't know. It's Eric and Ivar. I get them confused now who's what. But Hanson was his original name going in. I love him as an athlete. You know, big dude that can flip, flop, and fly. Undisputed Era, killing it sort of as a faction in NXT. They have been. You know, they had all the titles. They're sort of today's Four Horsemen almost. And I really like that gimmick. I really like all those athletes. All those guys again. Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly, and I get, you know, even Bobby Fish. All very well capable of having, excuse me, it's like 7:30 in the morning when I'm doing this. All very capable of having high-level matches with good talent. Adam Cole versus Ricochet, we saw a feud like that in NXT. That's, you know, to me is money all day. Daniel Bryan is back wrestling again after some time off due to maybe being retired due to, you know, concussion and brain injury. It's nice to see him back. He got a little world title run. He's still doing some stuff, so I'm looking forward. Hopefully, he does more with his career and his, you know, now his career's extended. It's, you know, it's nice to see. Asuka is on top of the women's wrestling world right now. Basically, she's probably my favorite women's wrestler of all time. Didn't know much about her, again, coming from Japan and stuff. But once she came in, I researched some of her old stuff, and I've seen her live when we went to NXT shows live. Excuse me, dang it. Awesome competitor, great gimmick, great look, hard hitting, you know, total pro, and she's got the title now. She didn't have the title at the end of 2018, you know, awesome competitor, and I'm glad that she has a place in WWE right now, and they're doing something with her. Going into 2019 again, Joe Coffey is a talent that the WWE have right now that I think is very underutilized. He's another guy that could sort of be in the vein of, you know, almost like a Killian Dane, almost like a Jeff Cobb without the giant suplexes and stuff like that, but a big, thick, barrel-chested bruiser, English dude or Scottish dude, whatever he is, that one day could be, you know, have a good run as a monster heel or a main event heel. Velveteen Dream, a very good talent that they have in NXT right now too. We saw him, I remember seeing him at an NXT house show, and he was just Patrick Clark. It was Jersey, I want to say Asbury, so in his gimmick, he was just literally Patrick Clark. I think he came out with like Boston stuff on and was doing a whole like, I like Boston gimmick, you know, to get heat with the Jersey crowd. And I know there's been some, some internet hate with him about maybe some stuff in his personal life, but he's a great athlete. He's got a good look, nice, good gimmick, Prince kind of type gimmick. And he, again, he's just capable of putting on good matches. The Hardy Boys came back. Jeff Hardy's still in WWE. Matt Hardy went over to AEW, obviously. But it's good seeing Jeff Hardy again in a WWE ring, and again, being able to work with, let's say, guys like AJ Styles, Finn Balor, Ricochet. If he's got still some mileage left in the tank, those are talents that you want to have, sort of on your way out to work with, the young guys coming up. The Hurt Business is a faction now. They're doing pretty well. It seems like WWE is very heavy on factions right now. They have the Hurt Business. They have Retribution. They have the Undisputed Era. They have, just a lot of factions, it seems like, going on. It seems like everybody's in a faction. But if it works for them, I don't mind factions either. It makes for good Survivor Series matches. I like Survivor Series. It makes, for good feuds and stuff where you can sort of have the same guys fighting each other every week, but switching up, member 1 versus member 2 on one week, and then the following week you got a tag team match with members 2 and 3 versus these 2 and 3. So, it's a good way to keep feuds alive and still being able to switch up matches. And again, you got a lot of young guys like Baron Corbin and Elias and, Andrade, who I had talked about. Guys that are sort of there now, mid-level now, but, maybe 5 to 8, 10 years from now, they're main event WrestleMania dudes. Goldberg has been back in and out the WWE since the 2018-2019 era. He, in June 7th of 2019, he had that abomination of a match with Goldberg at the Super Showdown in Saudi Arabia. Goldberg is one of those guys, he's like, it's like a Brock Lesnar, it's cool to unleash him every once in a while, but I think Goldberg's got some age on Lesnar, and, his body is definitely broke down, I feel like, a little more than Lesnar's. I was a huge Goldberg fan in his run at WCW, and then again when he came into WWE in the 2003 era, but I'd be alright if I never saw Goldberg wrestle again, because he's not the same guy, and if he's dangerous, and, all of the matches that they have to do because of his gas tank, they're all 3 minutes long, and I know the match is going to be 3 minutes long. It's like, if you're going to have a 3-minute squash match, it's almost, you don't have to do that, in my opinion. The Fiend has come to prominence. Let's say since this they had the Fiend in his first big main event, looks like his first big pay-per-view main event, looks like October of 2019 was the Hell in the Cell against Seth Rollins. Fiend is a great character, great look, the mask, the gimmick, and all that other stuff. I don't know what else they can really do with it. It's like it's cool that it's the dual personality type guy. I like that. I wish they did more of that again with Finn Balor with the demon gimmick. But that's a great gimmick that can probably, has got some wheels on it and still some time left to keep going. Keith Lee is another guy I want to talk about. I love Keith Lee, a big Keith Lee fan. I think he's got all the talent in the world. I think it's kind of silly that they made him cover up his chest because he's a little heavier up top. That's okay though. He made it to the main roster now, so now he's on a little bit more of a main stage. Also, Dominic Dijakovic, they may or may not have him in Retribution now, as maybe T-Bar is his name. I didn't know a lot about him, before he came into WWE. And when he was first in NXT, I was not a huge fan of him, but after watching his matches with Keith Lee, I became a fan. So seeing these guys back and forth, he's a big, tall, almost like a test size dude, but he does a lot of he can also sort of flip-flop and fly. And if he's with Retribution, hopefully his career takes a good turn with that and not the opposite. But a really talented athlete that I like seeing. Shayna Baszler, again, I talked about her. She's another one of those legit MMA people that came over and now is sort of legitimate because of it. I think she's a badass wrestler with a good gimmick behind it and totally believable, legit. So it makes sense. I just want to say I hated the name Kabuki Warriors. I love Asuka, like I said, and Kairi Sane too, but I think that was not a great name. And that sort of leads me into 2020, where we are now. Walter, another great talent, no nonsense type guy. I like that he's just like plain black trunks, plain black boots, big, not six-pack and all that other, but you know, a guy that legit just looks like sort of a Russian or a German experiment that's just going to come out and chop the heck out of you. He's a good talent. I'm looking forward to see what they do with him eventually. He's had the NXT UK title now for like over a year. Yeah, this WrestleMania we had the Boneyard match, the inclusion of cinematic matches. Now, since COVID happened, they've had to do sort of more of these cinematic matches. They did the Boneyard match at WrestleMania. They had the Money in the Bank match in the WWE building. The Swamp fight with Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt. I think that's cool that they're doing more cinematic type matches. I mean, pro wrestling is basically a fight scene in a movie just on TV or on wrestling. You know, it's the same thing. You know, people knock pro wrestling, but at the same time, if you're watching a fight scene in the movie, it's basically the same thing. And then this way they can do edits better. They can sort of, you know, any sort of botches that they were to have, they can sort of edit out and make it a little more seamless. So I'm a fan of the cinematic matches. They sort of, it seems like they sort of have died down over the last couple pay-per-views maybe, but you know, maybe more stuff like that in going forward and learning from this whole COVID experience. Maybe that's something that we take on, you know, and I know they've been doing cinematic matches. You know, I know Piper versus Goldust was pre-taped, you know, for WrestleMania 12 and stuff like that. So it's not new that they do cinematic matches or matches like that. But the fact that they're coming more into prominence and back into popularity is cool. And then just giving guys that never really had main event matches or title matches is prevalent now in the company. You're seeing Kyle O'Reilly fought for the NXT title this month in NXT TakeOver. And last month, Jey Uso got a shot at the world title for the first time ever. So to have, you know, you can sort of see you're getting younger minds, in my opinion, sort of influencing the way the matches go. I don't think Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns was a Vince McMahon idea. I don't think Kyle O'Reilly fighting, you know, who's classically a tag team guy or has been a tag team guy the entire time he's basically been in the company, having him fight for the world title, probably not a Vince McMahon idea. I could be wrong there, but it seems to me like, you know, that's something that the Triple H's or the, you know, and not that he's a young man, but the, you know, minds like that are sort of starting, they're going to be in control of the business, you know, let's say for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. You know, it's nice to get fresh faces, fresh matches again, like I talked about, you know, get that sort of input into the WWE, because it's going to make for more interesting matches down the line and hopefully keep the fans happy and all that other stuff. I don't really have much else to say. I think there was 8 of these unsung pro wrestling era videos that I did. I've had some time off. I just had a new baby. So if this is how I'm going to wrap it up, you know, it was sort of a dream of mine to be able to do these. Again, even though that I didn't make them super fancy and flashy and pretty or whatever. And again, I'm just in my garage. I'm in my pajamas again today. But this was something that I really wanted to do. I uploaded the songs. If you look, you know, down below on the on my channel, some of the other videos I uploaded were song videos I've been wanting to do. In my time off, whenever I have a free second, doing creative outlook stuff like this is what I like to do. I like to write a lot. I like to, you know, I did some acting. I did some, you know, music stuff. So you know, this was a dream to be able to even do these videos about the pro wrestling stuff. It was something that I probably would have just wrote longhand in a notebook, all of these type things, you know, reviews, and just had, but this was a little easier way to do it. And like I said, instead of going, just focusing on one pay-per-view, I have some favorite pay-per-views. Maybe one day I'll make videos specifically about each pay-per-view that I like. I also like to rebook pay-per-views. like how you know, a WrestleMania would have looked if I were booking it, you know, and putting this match first instead, or even switching, you know, switching the matches around between the talent and who goes over and blah blah blah. Maybe one day I'll do some stuff like that, but for now this is good enough. And just want to say thank you to anybody that would have viewed this. You know, even if it gets one view, that's not me. Thank you, and I appreciate it. And check out some pro wrestling. Check out the WWE Network. Check back on some of these pay-per-views that I was talking about, all the way back from '92 to today. There's a lot of good content out there, and you can even comment below some of your favorite things if you should so see fit. So thanks for this. I got some kid stuff I probably got to take care of in a minute, and I'll get back to you guys one way or the other eventually. Take care.